just realized that none of these characters are necessarily good people. Or just straight up bad guys. Hello everyone, it's your favorite ENTP on YouTube. I've been struggling to pick a topic to make a video about. There's just so many things that you can talk about. But more importantly, pick a topic that people actually care about, or could be entertaining. And so it hit me. Make a video about ENTP characters. And so I'm mulling around the old, and it occurred to me that I hadn't listed a good guy ENTP character. At best, it seems that ENTPs are portrayed as anti-heroes and absolutely morally ambiguous, just like yours truly. And I think to be a good guy, you have to have clear-cut morals, whereas an ENTP character is mostly made up of vaguely defined principles. As long as they find it funny, they'll usually go along with it.
Here they come.
Most of these characters are going to be pretty self-explanatory. Some of these other characters people have tried to justify as being other personality types. Some say that Rick Sanchez is actually an INTP, but he's drunk all the time. I mean, why would you ignore the ENTPs drink all the time trope? You guys have Bruce Banner, Magnus the Red, and others. So let's go ahead and start with Loki.
You think yourself above them?
Oh, yes.
Loki's pretty standard for an ENTP, whether it's through the Avengers movies or Norse mythology. I've never actually read the comic books. Loki seems to be a very archetypical ENTP, quick-witted and likes to play tricks on people. The Avengers Loki I get a little bit confused about. He has this grand plan to take over the world, whereas normally an ENTP believes that that's probably too much responsibility. Granted, I'm not several thousands of years old. Maybe. Perhaps if I lived that long, I would also decide that it was time for me to just go ahead and make changes to the world. Most likely, though, I'll still just be sitting in a dark room making videos.
Oh shit, it's Zinch.
If you're into Warhammer 40,000, you're very familiar with Tzeentch and what he represents. Tzeentch is one of the 4 chaos gods that make up an amalgam of concepts and emotions. Tzeentch embodies trickery and deception, going just as planned, as well as generalized manipulation. They do a hilarious representation of Tzeentch in TTS. If you're curious, go watch this episode. Next up, we have the Radio Demon.
Dear, if I wanted to hurt anyone here,
I would have done so already.
This is a character I'm actually very excited about. The Radio Demon is from a soon-to-be show called Has Been Hotel. He comes off as very ENTP, a very whimsical attitude. He makes it very clear that he wants to help the main character because he's bored. I also have a theory as to why he's seemingly so powerful. If you enter a world where having power comes from manipulating emotions, tangibly manipulating emotions, making shady deals, owning souls, or just overall being a sneaky bastard, as far as demons go, he's gonna have a mana bar.
She's gonna jump off the lobby balcony. You think I can catch her?
Yes, House. I actually have a particular bone to pick with this one. I once read an article about House and his MBTI type in the early days of me trying to learn the system. The article addressed whether or not House was a ENTP or an INTJ, which when I think back on it now is laughable. I'll give you some bullet points as to why he's an ENTP. He's always trying to solve puzzles, which is like the lifeblood of an ENTP, whether they be people or medical issues. And of course, he's an introverted thinker. He literally just sits in his office and thinks. And of course, he's also very comfortable arguing with people. He has no problem with debate or wordplay. If it wasn't obvious, he very much dislikes doing things as a traditional doctor. I'd go into it more, but there's really no debate here. Same goes for Rick Sanchez.
Does evil exist? And if so, can one detect and measure it? Rhetorical question, Morty. The answer's yes, you just have to be a genius.
I won't get into it here. If you want me to actually do a deep dive into Rick Sanchez, let me know in the comments. Today's show is sponsored by nothing. Get yours today. I'm a fan of all of these characters. I love all these shows. If you're an ENTP, I highly recommend you watch these shows. If you haven't already, most likely you have. The actual non-abridged characters, I'm not certain what their personality types are. It's been too long since I've watched them. But these abridged characters are hilarious and are ENTP.
Someone's not counting. 6.
I think Ryan Reynolds did a great job with Deadpool, although that's probably because, Ryan Reynolds is an ENTP, lucky bastard. I only have an issue with him being in the military. It would be a relatively extreme set of circumstances to find an ENTP in the military. Following orders and running a lot, you can miss me with that. Deadpool, I think, is also a good representation of what happens when an ENTP goes schizophrenic. Almost there. How great it would be to actually have other voices in my head to talk to. Currently, I just work with my own imagination, but it wouldn't be as fun.
You're mad.
Thank goodness for that, because if I wasn't, this would probably never work.
Once again, morally ambiguous. There shouldn't be any contest with this character. I don't know what other personality type you would mistake him for. Out of nowhere ideas, alcoholism.
Most people think I burn hot. It's actually quite the opposite.
Lucifer from Supernatural, which is interesting because I've been called the devil by 4 different people, and none of them had any connection to one another. Charismatic, intelligent, a fun character to watch, a bad guy, but unfortunately he's the devil. Paints us in a bit of a bad light.
But I know the truth. There's no going back.
The Joker. I'd like to specifically talk about Heath Ledger's Joker. What a masterclass performance of a character. What happens when an ENTP gets sick of society? I always wonder if I'm just one traumatic experience away from becoming this. Mind you, if you feel like you're Heath Ledger's Joker, seek professional help. If you're an ENTP and you're watching this, life doesn't really get better, but you do find better ways to cope with it. For me, it's alcohol and harem animes. Currently watching Konosuba. This Joker epitomizes the cracked ENTP. From his ridiculous Justice Plan moments to his awkward humor, he talks about how he doesn't plan things.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Which may throw people off, but from someone who speaks fluent in bullshit, he's quite the master. Well, I think that's going to be it for my relatively short list of ENTP fictional characters. If you guys have a preference for what personality type I should list off next, drop it in the comments, as well as specific characters that you'd like to have typed. I also have a new Facebook page. It'll mostly just be memes, and a new Discord server, in case you feel like you want to drop in and say hi, ask me some questions about personalities. I'd also like to use it to discuss the more negative sides of personalities, things that might not be acceptable on YouTube. And as always, I'll catch you next time.